The goal of our video games for assessment project is to map video game traits onto the 6 Hexaco personality traits and to create a game that successfully identifies personality features. This project gives researchers a more interesting and engaging way to test personality traits. We decided to approach this game in 2 ways: 1, to do research and map personality traits onto certain gameplay features, and 2, to create a game to assess these traits using Unity. After discussing with our client, we decided the best way to implement this game was with multiple mini-games, with each mini-game focusing on 1 or 2 personality traits. The games will all be somewhat connected thematically, as we decided the plot of our game would be about exploring a town, in which each part of the town would be a different room/game. In this sprint, we worked on finalizing the gameplay elements and scoring for each of the Hexaco traits in each room. A major success of this sprint was finalizing the layout of the game and various other features such as loading between rooms, a functional character select, and an animated character sprite corresponding to the selected character. This proved to be challenging since some rooms had been set up slightly different than others, and it was hard to fix bugs across them while they were simultaneously being worked on. Thankfully, this should all be complete now. To measure conscientiousness, we created a game in which the player must sort multiple moving, colorful chickens within a certain amount of time. Conscientiousness will be measured by how efficiently and neatly the player sorted the chickens. Since the last sprint, we added colors to each of the chickens and created pens for each color of the chickens. We also added functionality that allows the player to drag the chickens into the pens, and a timer that disables this functionality when the timer is up. In addition, we added more art to the farm and changed its layout, so there is a clear entry point for the player. Lastly, we added a player character and a bulletin board with instructions to the game. The town center serves as both a home base for the player to come back to and refer to all possible tasks available in the game, and as a way for us to measure the player's agreeableness and extroversion scores. In the town center, the player will encounter a very chatty mayor who attempts to tell them all about the town and a bulletin board, where the player can directly navigate to all of the tasks. The player can skip through the mayor's dialogue by pressing down the return or enter key, but this will repeatedly decrease their extroversion and agreeableness score, which we're demoing here. After chatting with the mayor, the player can head directly to the bulletin board, where they can see all the tasks, click on one of them, and be taken directly to another quest within the game, such as the maze section here. The player can navigate directly to the shop via the bulletin board, but they can also walk through the front door of the shop. Once they arrive, they are greeted by a panicked shopkeeper asking them to catch a thief that's stealing their coins. Once the player advances toward the thief, they are confronted with 2 choices: let the thief go, with a fake promise of payment, or to catch the thief and turn them into the shopkeeper. In this case, we choose to turn the thief in, and the player greets the shopkeeper again, who is immensely grateful for the player's help. Choosing to turn the thief in will keep their honesty score high, whereas choosing to let the thief go in exchange for money will greatly reduce their honesty score. We created a matching card game in the park scene to measure the player's level of conscientiousness. The player can walk over to the table to enlarge the matching game and play it. The player clicks on 2 cards, and if they match, they disappear. If the player makes no wrong matches, they will receive a score of 1, which indicates perfect conscientiousness. Every time the player selects a wrong score, their score for conscientiousness will decrease by about 0.16. If the player makes 6 wrong matches or more, they will receive a score of 0 for conscientiousness. In the maze section of the game, we measure a player's openness to experience and their puzzle-solving ability. We can judge how open a player is to experience if they act in a completionist manner, meaning they try to complete every possible objective they can. The puzzle-solving ability is measured in 2 parts. The first part is the maze, which is fairly simple exploration. The second is with an optional block-pushing puzzle. This puzzle also measures openness to experience. The puzzle is not actually required, and can be avoided entirely if the player so desires. But if the player finds it and completes it, then this is the completionist behavior we're looking for. If they walk into the dedicated puzzle room and just turn around and leave because it's not the exit, they're more likely to be interested in just finishing the maze as fast as possible than they are in trying to finish all that they can. The small puzzle will also measure the number of moves and puzzle resets the player uses in order to solve it, and compares it to an optimal solution.